amid bickering among themselves. Dothan School Board members meet tomorrow. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kinsley Center. Thank you for joining me tonight for News 4 at 6. So when they huddled earlier this week, they defied their own attorney's advice. Over his objections, they discussed the draft of a contract with the man selected as Dothan's new superintendent, even though it was subject to revisions. News 4's Ken Curtis with the latest on the divisive issue and how much money is involved.
This is the letter written by Mark Boardman, the attorney for the school board, the attorney hired to hammer out a contract with the board's presumed new superintendent, Dr. Garrick Askew. Now, Boardman told the board, you don't need to discuss it because it's not final. The board didn't listen. The members didn't listen to the advice, sparring, bickering among themselves, something that's gone on through the process of the superintendent selection. Some want a 3-year deal with Askew, others 5 years. Now, we asked for a copy of his proposed contract, the one the board discussed on Tuesday night. We didn't get one then, but a person directly involved in the process gave us a copy of Askew's first-year salary and benefits that would approach nearly $300,000. And even if the board wanted to vote, they can't right now because of a temporary restraining order issued this week, barring that vote amid allegations that the board went through the superintendent selection process outside the guidelines of Alabama open meetings laws. Now, the board is scheduled to meet again on Friday afternoon for what they describe only as a legal matter.